I know, but it's what's happening right now. There was a wig, there were scissors. Was there self-control? No. Is this my best look? No, but I have thoughts, and my thoughts wait for no man or beast. So let's get started. The theme of this video is stuff that I already talked about on Twitter in moving picture form. The next segment of this video is BH Cosmetics Corner because they've been quite active. Actually, that's the first thing I want to talk about with them. I feel like BH Cosmetics has now joined the pantheon of brands like Wet n Wild and ColourPop in that it's a very inexpensive brand that releases entirely too many products. I was on BH's website because it's the first website that populates into my autofill on Firefox when I type in the letter B. I noticed if I sorted by new products, that it was sort of ridiculous. So you get the Color Festival Shadow Palette that just dropped, you get the Daisy Marquez palette that just dropped, the Mini Zodiac palette for Aries, a line of lipsticks that just dropped, the Opalescent palette I talked about, the 3 other Zodiac palettes, a new blush palette, 3 new eyeshadow palettes I've never even heard of. Pump your brakes a little bit. I definitely don't hear people call out BH Cosmetics for this as much as I hear them do it for ColourPop and me do it for Wet n Wild. And I think that's because it sort of exists between those two brands on a couple different axes, and I'll explain what I mean by that. It's not as accessible and inexpensive as Wet n Wild is. You can't walk into a drugstore and find a BH display, and it's not as eye-catching and fun, so to speak, as ColourPop is. ColourPop releases 17 products a minute, but theirs are a little bit more interesting and cover a wider range of product types. And also, this is gonna delete any of my chances of ever getting on BH's PR. I have found in my experience that BH's products that aren't their eyeshadow palettes are basura? I don't, how you say, like them. They are not, como se dice, good. I've tried 2 lipsticks, 2 lip glosses, and a concealer from BH Cosmetics, and all of them were terrible. I feel like people are more aware of ColourPop because ColourPop makes a wider range of products that are actually good. It's sort of like they just throw palettes at the wall and one of them will stick and they'll get like a hit palette, like the Weekend Festival palette last year. And if it doesn't work, they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna go ahead and grab 17 more neutrals and 1 purple and put it in a different orientation and name the palette something that has nothing to do with the color family in it. Opalescent. This sounds like I hate BH. I really don't. I really like BH Cosmetics. The Galaxy Chic palette back in the day was my everything, and then I sat on it once and I broke that dark shimmery purple shadow. The next thing with BH. This awoke the makeup goblin. If you're new to my channel, the makeup goblin is a malevolent being that lives in all of our lower digestive system who is solely responsible for our never-ending desire to buy more makeup. When you see a new makeup release and you're like, oh, hot dog, that would look good on my face, that's not your brain. That's the makeup goblin hovering somewhere around your gallbladder. My makeup goblin sounds a little bit like this. That's the sort of her natural speaking voice. And she's very powerful. The grind never stops. And it certainly did not stop when I saw this palette. This is the second round of the collaboration palettes between BH Cosmetics and the YouTuber It's My Rae. Hi guys, this is editing Nisa. I had to interrupt that video because when I filmed it, I did not own the It's My Rae sequel palette. Now I do. This is the sequel palette. This is the original palette. It's gone. You can't get it from BH. You can't get it from Ulta now that this one is in the house. Honestly, that is an L for both Ulta and BH Cosmetics. And unfortunately, all of you who don't have it, it's great. I love it. Also, I'm a genius for cutting off the face palette part of it because now they match perfectly and are the same size. I'm so smart. You can still get this from Kohl's apparently, but I've never seen a Kohl's in person. I'm not suburban enough for that. So I figured since I own it, I might as well talk about it in a more practical way. The shimmers are not the Benet Cray beautiful, like super wet to the touch, thick shimmers of the original palette. They are a lot more subtle and firmly pressed and smooth. They're still very pretty, but like for example, the blue one, Sapphire, and the purple one, Charmed, are pretty understated, honestly. I don't know what I was on for so long about not liking yellow golds, because this shade Golden Girl is actually lovely. Flare is great. Canary is actually a pretty solid matte yellow, all things considered. I really like Ambitious. Shinin', oh my god. Hold on, are we swatching? I guess we're swatching. Should I like hold my phone in my mouth like those kids on TikTok do. Okay, I don't know how to do this.
Okay, I have my phone in my mouth. This is shining. Oh my god. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, it is not sustainable.
It's a lovely palette. I'll definitely do swatches and all that stuff when I do a birthday haul video, which will happen at some point. I really actually enjoy this, and I'm having fun with it, and I'm glad I got it. This now concludes BH Corner. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. I always think, like, do I have enough products to talk about? It's literally been 15 minutes and I'm talking about 2 things. This is the 90s Baby palette from the brand Peachy Queen, which I've never heard of in my life. I don't really know how I feel about this. I don't love the trend in indie brands primarily of making these palettes with huge pans of eyeshadow. I actually prefer something a little bit smaller. This would be a very, very fun accent palette for you. Especially, I know I keep talking about jewel tones, but these blues and greens and that purple are very cute. I'm also coming around to yellow golds. I used to really hate them, but I'm like getting into them now. And this sort of like electric lime gold that's up at the top corner is like very, 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 to parlay a phrase from Heather's. I have a couple full shimmer palettes and they're very fun to work with. It's sort of like looking for a jewel in a pirate chest when you want to find that perfect shimmery eyeshadow to complement a cut crease, for example. I think they're fun. And if you don't already have one, this is a kooky little blend of colors. I think the packaging is like a little goofy. I think these shade names are very, very cute. I, for reference, was born in 1994, so I don't consider myself a 90s baby because I did most of my cognitive development after the millennium. In addition to a lot of things that are associated with like the 90s continuing into the 2000s, I also have like some memories. For example, VHSs. One time I took one of my dad's cassettes and I took all of the tape out of it. And I said, "Look, Daddy, I have a purse like Mommy." And he was like, "What did you do?" I had jelly sandals when I was a wee lass. I had a Furby and I was so afraid of it that my mother had to put a cloth over it and put it in my closet. And then one day it awoke in the middle of the night and I had to go sleep in my parents' room for 2 nights. We had floppy disks in my household. I never had to use one, but they were there. I never had a caboodle, not once. But everything else applies to my life, so I'm allowed to have this palette. I do like this. I'm not gonna get it because I have so many all shimmer palettes already and I don't need to add one more, but I do think this is cute. So, Catherine Vaughn, Don't Call Me a Nazi or an Anti-Vaxxer, even though I've done many things that would imply that I am those things, is releasing a mascara. This is the Go Big or Go Home Ultra Black Plant-Based Fat-Filled Mascara, which is $23 and is launching April 19th. To this post, I just have to say, the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara says hi. Moving on. All right, Miss Buttercup, let's wrap this mother up. So, Tarte. Hi guys, it's Edited Nisa. Please note that I filmed this before the formal reveal of the actual Icy Betch palette from Tarte. I don't love that palette at all. I wish they'd released the original Tartlet form that it came in last year as the April Fool's joke. I will not be buying it myself. Hi guys, it's Even Later Editing Nisa here with some more information about the Icy Betch palette. I was talking to my Makeup Goblins Discord server, which you can get access to by joining the $7 tier on my Patreon, link in description, shameless plug over, and we found out that our wonderful makeup goblin Megan actually purchased the Icy Betch palette and provided us with these swatches I'm showing you right now. Megan says that she thinks it's definitely worth $24 and that the shades all swatch pretty creamily and the highlight, which is not a stark white, but is actually more of a white champagne shift, is actually kind of nice. I personally think that I don't need this particular palette. There are other majority blue palettes I have my eye on, like the Whale Song palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you a little bit more information. You're welcome. Big shout out to the homie Megan, who you can find on Instagram at Afrolicious and on YouTube at Megan Taylor. Thanks, sis. Let's get back to the video. What I have an issue with is the reception of this post that I saw from a very interesting community of folks online. Jeffree Star fans. If you're not familiar with the launches of Jeffree Star Cosmetics, JSC recently launched the Blue Blooded palette, which is sort of a sister palette to the Blood Sugar palette of last year. It's largely blue, with some peachy tans. I think it's cute. I mentioned this in my last chatting about new product releases videos. I think it would have benefited from some dark browns and a gunmetal silver, but it also doesn't matter because I'm not gonna ever buy a Jeffree Star palette, so who cares what I think. The consensus among Jeffree Star fans was that Tarte was copying the blue-blooded palette with this launch.
Really? Blues? Right after Jeffree releases Blood Sugar? Copying another brand? Can't relate. How are ya?
Scrolling through that thread on Twitter, I saw more Jeffree Star reaction gifs than I've ever seen in my life. I think I may have blacked out for a portion of it. Jeffree Star smirking. Jeffree Star slurping on a straw. Jeffree Star going like this. Jeffree Star going like this. And a myriad of other things to express via Jeffree Star's face that these fans were not very happy with Tarte. They were none too pleased that Tarte was very obviously copying the blue-blooded palette. Since I know a lot of Jeffree Star's fans are kids, I would like to speak directly to those kids now. Hi kids, how's your algebra homework going? Aren't parents the worst? Aren't you having so much fun on that new social platform, TikTok? I would like to remind you of something you probably learned very recently because you're probably 12 years old. The color wheel. See that color right there, blue? Did you know that Jeffree Star did not invent it? And if you think that's wild and earth-shattering, you won't believe how much your history teachers are lying to you about.
Jeffree Star!
Are you guys gonna like cancel the ocean because it's also blue? Do you guys like walk into the produce section of grocery stores and see the blueberries and be like, really? Right in front of my blue-blooded palette? Can't relate. Oh. You look up at the sky while you're walking.
Really? God? Copying Jeffree? Wow, can't relate.
I think Jeffree Star is very creative. I think Jeffree Star is very talented in certain things. There's a lot of skills at which Jeffree Star excels. Making YouTube videos, being the creative mind behind his brand, being a successful business person, racism, like so many things that Jeffree Star is so good at. Jeffree Star is not skilled enough to create a color. Also, Tarte very obviously had the concept for the Icy Bench palette in mind a year ago when they released the picture on April Fool's on Trendmood's Twitter. There were like easily 50 or 60 comments responding to the picture, and like one person was like, Tarte thought of this last year. But okay. Everybody else, Jeffree Star, 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 Jeffree Star. Like I have to wonder though how today's drama online is affecting my favorite girls, the Barbaras. Why don't we see what they're up to?
Good afternoon, ladies. I imagine you're wondering why I ended company Bikram Yoga early today for this meeting. Well, I'll tell you. Do you remember how it felt when our Lord and Savior Taylor Allison Swift dropped her music video for the greatest song ever written, Look What You Made Me Do?
Barbara P, of course I do. I took my sons out of organic basketball early to bring them home and watch it with me. What is so funny, Barbara J?
Well, Barbara, I guess I just thought you were more dedicated than that. I mean, I took my kids out of school for an entire week so we could fly to our condo in South Beach and work together as a family to carve the lyrics into all the walls.
Well, Barbara J, I guess I was a little busy seeing as my third home was being built in Cabo that week. I guess I just don't have as much free time as you. Ladies, please, the darkness of your auras is distracting me.
I don't need to tell you what a difficult year Tarte Cosmetics has had in the beauty community, but I think I finally discovered the way to get us back on top. Do you remember last April Fool's when we released the greatest joke ever written?
You mean that palette that was entirely blues and greens?
Without a single champagne bronze or spicy beige in sight?
The very same. This morning during my mindfulness session on the 6 train, I had the greatest idea. What if, Barbara, are you holding on to something? What if we released that palette for realsies?
You mean with real greens and blues?
And not a single beige in sight?
Exactly, and not a single one. What do you girls think? I say let's do it. My life coach has been telling me to try new things lately, and I thought she just meant substituting chard for kale in my morning smoothies, but this seems like much more of a practical application of her advice.
Absolutely. This will turn everyone on their heads. I mean, a palette filled entirely with greens and blues. It's never been done before. Oh my God. I feel so powerful. Is this how man felt when he discovered fire? Oh, ladies, I'm so glad to hear you say that. Oh, this is going to bring Tarte Cosmetics into the future. Nothing could take away from the joy I feel in this moment.
You guys are copying Jeffrey.
What? You're Barbara M's niece, Shayna, right? What were you saying?
I mean, I think it's funny how you guys are literally copying Jeffrey.
What?
Yeah, you guys are literally copying the blue-blooded palette that just came out. Like, blues? Like, it just came out. You guys are literally copying it. Like, it's literally disgusting. Like, wow, imagine not crediting another artist for your inspiration. Can't relate. Like, wow, weird flex, but okay. Literally, I'm adding Jeffree Star about this right now, and he's gonna say that your dumbass palette isn't Jeffree Star approved, and then it's gonna flop, and I'm gonna laugh. Also, Aunt Barbara, can you drive me home after this? My boyfriend said he was gonna drive me home, but he just texted me and he asked detention for using all the ketchup bottles in the cafeteria to write out subscribe to PewDiePie on all the tables again. So, I need a ride.
That's impossible. You're lying. No, this was my magnum opus, do you understand? No, I'm melting.
Oh, Barbara P, no! Oh, wait. Barbara M, weren't you up for a promotion anyway?
Oh, that's right. Well, I guess I'm the new CEO. Oh, gross. Does anyone have an organic microfiber towel? I got Barbara P all over my Blonix. That was probably very confusing for the new people. This was decidedly shorter than many of my other chatting about releases videos. Thank you for watching my video. But before you leave, I'm gonna need you to do a quick favor for me. If you could go ahead and have an amazing day for me, that would be icy. And if you would like to interact with me betwixt uploads, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at NisiPisa, and I also have a second channel called Extra NisiPisa that I will link in the description where I post music and covers. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to use code NisiPisa for 10% off at checkout at your local wig store. Bye guys.
You guys are copying Jeffrey. You guys are literally copying Jeffrey. You guys are copying Jeffrey. You're literally copying him so much, and it's like absolutely hilarious. Like, sis, literally, I'm dead. Like, adding Jeffree Star on Twitter about this literally right this literal second, and I'm gonna laugh. Laugh. Ow.